everybody. Calm down, calm down. I know I'm fine as hell today. Y'all trying to figure out why she got this beat on her face. And she got on real clothes to come and talk to us. What happened? You wanna know what happened? Steve Campbell wrote Sky Full of Elephants, and I had to come in here and tell somebody about it. Hello, good friends. Welcome back to Shelby in the Book Club. I am Shelby Monet, and today we are going to talk about Sky Full of Elephants by Steve Campbell. I am in awe. I am in awe. It has been a while since I've done a book review, and I'm going to try to keep it spoiler free. I'm going to try. Y'all be cussing because I just be yapping. I'm going to try. Before we get started, make sure you like, you comment, subscribe. I'm trying to get us to 15K before the end of the year. I think we could do it. So let's do it. And without further ado, let's get into it for real this time. This book, I don't even really know what to say. Like, I sat on it for a while, for a couple of days, because I didn't want to just jump into a review for it, because I definitely cried at the end. It wasn't sad tears. It was happy tears. It was like tears of relief. So I sat with it for a little while. I will say it is going in my top 5. Okay, I can tell you my top 5 right off the top of my head right now, in no particular order. Sky Full of Elephants, James by Percival Everett, The Blueprint by Regina Rashad, When Crack Was King by Donovan X. Ramsey, and A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. Those are my top 5 of the year, in no particular order. If you want me to put them in order, I will. It's up there, okay? It's up there. Sky Full of Elephants is a literary fiction, but it's also a dystopian fiction, right? There is an event that happens. He doesn't give us a year, but there is an event that happens where all of the white people walk into the nearest water near them and they are gone. And a lot of what this book is questioning is, what is blackness, right? If our oppressors are gone, everything should be perfect after that, right? But the thing that we don't account for is the mental damage that all of our trauma has done to us. So the main character, Charlie, he is black man, obviously, who is now a professor at Howard, but before the event, he had been in prison for 20 years. And we follow him on this journey of helping his mixed race daughter travel to a place where there are people like her. So he had never met her before because he was in prison all of her life. And she knows of him, but she has her own experience with the event. I'm not going to spoil that for you. And she is obviously very jaded, right? So again, it brings up that conversation of what is blackness, but it also questions what is whiteness. Like, if we don't have anything to compare it to, what are we actually living by as people, right? Sydney, well, I tell you, she was raised by her white kinfolk, okay? Baby racist. She don't like blackness. She has been taught that black people is wrong, like that the things, her features that are black, right, that come from her black side, her curly hair, her big nose, her plump lips, like all of that she thinks is wrong. And them traveling together leads to her having to figure out herself, right? To figure out where she fits in, because she's always felt like she doesn't fit anywhere, which I totally felt like was valid. It just was so harsh how racist she was. So they have to figure out how to get to know each other. They meet a lot of very interesting characters along the way. We also meet Vivian and Hosea, who are the king and queen of Alabama, which is where Sydney is trying to go. That's all I'm going to tell you. Once they get to Alabama, the dystopian aspect of it comes into play. But I think the part that I like is, I think we always think about dystopian being like apocalyptic, zombies walking around, we ain't got nothing, like it's gonna look like Zombie Land or something like that, where this kind of flips that on its head. Like, what if a dystopian world, although it may not be normal, but what if it's better in some ways for us? Like, how do we do that? I always love the aspect of a journey in a book. I like when characters have to go places, because it shows who they actually are. And that was very interesting in this story, watching Charlie grow, but also watching Sydney navigate herself. I think the really big thing that I took away from this book, a part of the reason that I cried at the end, is because we all have to figure out how to love Blackness, right? Like, even the people that grow up in a two-parent household where both your parents are Black, there's still this journey to learning your culture, right? Learning the tidbits, learning your history, learning to not be what society thinks we are, right? We all have to have that journey eventually. I think it also brought up some things about loving Black men for me, right? Like, I think I've learned over time to like love Black men in spite of myself. Like, that loving them is to consider their wounds and their trauma without ever considering mine. But I think something that's very important about this book is, I think Charlie learns that although he does have all of these things that he also needs to heal, he kind of figures out that healing those things is also loving a Black woman, right? Like, to be vulnerable is to also love, you know? So it was really cool. It reminds me a lot of James. I've been talking about this book all year. I'm going to continue to talk about this book for the rest of forever. Reading Sky Full of Elephants made me want to reread James. They're both very similar. I think people get very caught up in the fact that James is a reimagining of Huck Finn, that they're not really picking up on the things that Percival Everett is trying to do, right? There's a lot of conversation about linguistics in this book, a lot of conversation about what being able to code switch can do for the positive and necessarily for the negative. And it is a conversation about coming into yourself, right? Especially because James is a slave, right? And coming into your own power. Whereas this is about unlearning societal standards so that you could come into yourself and learn to love yourself, right? So similar books. It's about two men going on a journey, right? It's about two very intelligent Black men, highly intelligent Black men, learning about themselves and learning, coming into that power, right? I think they're also about this play on light and dark, where I think often, because African Americans, people across the African diaspora, are referred to as Black people, right? We forget that Black is a negative connotation. Excuse me, right? When you think of Black, you think of void, you think of darkness, you think of evil, right? And it's easy to forget that you are not what you are labeled as. And both men in both of these books have to figure that out for themselves, right? That despite the things that you've been through, despite what they told you are, who they tell you they think you are, you can still love yourself and make room for yourself, and so on and so forth. There are also conversations about parenthood in both of these books. I am not a parent. I don't plan on being nobody small for a long time. But I think in both of these books, there is a conversation to be had about how your child is a reflection of you, right? So in Sky Full of Elephants, right, going on this journey with his baby that he didn't get to meet until she was all but grown, right, and seeing all of the things that she hated about herself were the same things that he hated about himself as a black man, right, and trying to figure out how to guide her in a way that also helped him heal in some ways, right? Like he had to make a lot of decisions that were beneficial to the both of them. Phenomenal. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Read it right now. Let's see. There were a bunch of quotes that I loved. One that let's see if I can find it, because y'all know I annotate my books. Okay, one. Words are magic, you see. You say something enough and you believe it. Belief is the first step on the path of being. Like, where's the one? Oh, this one. Charlie observed the man, his oscillation between grief and rage, between the powerlessness of being little and draping himself in the only real power he'd ever seen, a man cracked in half under the pressure of being. I said, Mr. Campbell, you was writing your ass off, sir. Okay, no, that I'm not. That would spoil something. Hold the phone, y'all. When Charlie learned to drive, his mother had put him at the wheel of her Oldsmobile and told him that driving wasn't just a joyride, but a tool for self-reliance. Meant you could keep moving until you find where you're meant to be. What? Last one. Feeling what deserves to be felt is the only pathway to understanding. Let's get it straight. White folks did rape and steal and kill, and black folks died by the thousands, was dying all the way up till a year ago. Never feeling shame for that and not allowing us to feel anger over it means we don't evolve. We just go on repeating evil we can't understand. I'm sure your mama was a nice lady with a good heart, but her not feeling ashamed about all that happened is the same as not feeling anything at all. This book is poetic. This book is deep. It's heavy. I will say, if you're not really into sci-fi, but you like literary fiction, give this book a try. There is a sciencey aspect to this that got a little, like, I felt like I was a little bit dumb. Like I read with my finger or something. And y'all know that I don't. No shade to anybody that read with your finger. We trying. Now, shit. But there were some parts that were a little off-putting to me that had me like, did I not pay attention in science class? So keep an eye open for that. Other than that, this is a 5-star read. I say that it is a 5-star because the writing is phenomenal. The story is also phenomenal. And it wraps up, like, the ending was very good. The characters have growth. I could see how people may not like the ending. but I feel like the ending is realistic. So keep that in mind too. I would say take your time with this. This is one of those books that I would probably say to like listen to the audiobook and read it at the same time if you have to. But it is phenomenal. I cannot wait. If this is his debut novel, what else is he going to give us? My God, today. Phenomenal. I do think you need to be reading these two books together. They are very similar stories with similar messages, just told in different ways. And I think it'll kind of challenge you to be able to open up your perspective when you're reading things, right? To kind of give you the ability to read things at a surface level, but to also be able to pick up on the deeper themes and perspectives and questions that the books are asking. If you've read it already, let me know. If not, what are you waiting for? Everything will be linked down below. And yeah, without further ado, I love you. You are kind, you are smart, you are important, if to no one else, to me. Bye, friends.